Okay, this next idea that we're going to talk about with factoring involves factoring a trinomial into a binomial, basically. We're going to factor this into something that, a product of two binomials. And we're only going to factor trinomials where, in this section, the coefficient in front of x squared is 1. So as long as it's of the form x squared plus bx plus c, we're going to factor it using these methods we're fixing to talk about. So what we're going to be able to evaluate this trinomial in two ways. First of all, I'm going to say, well, if my trinomial is of the form x squared plus bx plus c, I'm going to look at the second sign, and I'm going to say, well, if my second sign is positive, then I know when I factor this, I'm going to have either two positives or two negatives, because when I multiply two negatives together, I get a positive, or if I multiply two positives, I get a positive. So the second sign is going to tell me that I'm multiplying. The second sign is going to tell me that both of my factors are either going to be positive or negative. The first sign tells me that they are both going to be positive. The second sign also tells me I'm going to add. Okay? And I'll get to that in just a second, but I know I want to factor the first term into an x and an x, because x times x is x squared. And now I'm going to say, okay, since the second sign is telling me to add, I'm going to look at the factors of 15 that add to give me 8. So 1 and 15 don't add to give me 8. 3 and 5 do add to give me 8. So I can write 3 and a 5 down here, and I'm done. And it doesn't matter whether I wrote the 5 or the 3 first. Now, if you're unsure as to whether or not you did it correctly, you can always go back and FOIL your answer. Okay, because remember, factoring is the undoing of what we just did. Factoring is the undoing of FOIL. So what I want to do is, let's just check our answer. X, that we'll do the first would be x times x, so I get x squared. Outer would be 5x. Inner is plus 3x, and the last would be 15. So x squared plus 8x plus 15, and that's what we started with. Okay, so that's how you can check whether or not your answer is correct. So we're going to practice this a couple of times. We're going to start with number 1 here. I know that automatically that this is going to factor into two binomials. The first term is x squared, so it's going to factor into x times x. The second sign is positive, so I'm going to have two of the same signs, but the first sign is negative. So that told me I have to have two negative signs. Okay, so I have my signs down, and now I want to look at 6. What are the factors of 6 that are going to add to give me 5? Well, 1 and 6 don't add to give me 5, but 2 and 3 add to give me 5. And I can check that by quickly saying the outer terms minus 3x plus negative 2x gives me negative 5x. Okay, let's practice that again. Number 2, I know this is going to factor into two binomials. My first term is going to be an x and an x. The second sign is positive, so I'm going to have two of the same signs, but the first time sign is negative, so I'll have two negatives. So I think, what are the factors of 20 that add to give me 12? 1 and 20 doesn't do it. 2 and 10 add to give me 12. 2 plus 10 is 12. So my answer is there. Okay, let's practice this one more time. Here I know this will factor into an x and an x. I know that my second sign is positive, so they'll be the same. And my first sign is positive, so they're both going to be positives. Now I want to say, what are the factors of 2 that are going to give me 3? Well, that's 1 and 2 because I'm adding. But we are missing this last term right here. This y squared is going to break up into y and y. Just like x squared broke into x times x, y squared breaks into y and y. So you're almost doing two factors back here. You're not only factoring the 2, but you factor the y. So there's my answer.